let's talk about painting blasters. So, as you've seen in my tutorials, I sand them down to a nice chalky finish, and then the next thing you're going to see is a process of the blaster being painted. I'm sorry, my camera doesn't go outside. But what I use is a rattle can. Now, it's just a can of spray paint. I generally don't use this one, so we're going to talk about different paints and how they'll affect. One thing you do want to make sure of is that it will bond to plastics. If it doesn't bond to plastics, you're going to have a problem, okay? It's not going to adhere to your blaster. Another thing you might want to look for is it just paint or is it primer? So to give you an idea, these two are okay to use. I wanted to see how it would work, and I tried to cheap out with the like 99-cent can Walmart when I first started. I was like, they're toy blasters. Anything should work. This was a nightmare. I went through about 7 times as much paint as when I had used either the Rust-Oleum or the Krylon. And as these are only $2 or $3, and this is $1, I didn't wind up saving any money. Now, I don't use any of these anymore. When I have to paint something orange, this is the particular one I use for orange, but it takes a lot of work. These paints like to pull up. They like to have runs. They're very temperamental about the humidity. Sometimes they'll crackle on you, so forth, so on. So something you'll hear a lot about is you'll hear modders refer to vinyl dye. Now, if you're like me when I first started out, you went to the store looking for a bottle of vinyl dye or searched on the internet and was kind of miserable because it's not actually called vinyl dye. It's called Duplicolor Vinyl and Fabric. If you ever hear anything called vinyl dye, this is what they're talking about. This stuff is absolutely wonderful to use. It dries extremely quick. Have about 15-minute dry time on it. The problem is you are extremely limited in your colors. Okay, and where this can might cost me $2 or $3, this can cost me $6 to $7 depending on where you buy it from. But I go through so much less of this and so much less cleanup trying to fix runs and paints than using this. I actually wind up saving money in the long run. Okay, the next thing you're going to hear talked about is clear coat. Clear coat is a spray that goes on. This is what I happen to use. Clear. It doesn't change the color of the blaster. It protects the paint you put on. So to give you an idea, here's a part that's not clear coated yet. Here's a part that is clear coated. Let me get one that's the same color so you can see the difference. Not clear coated, clear coated. Now this one's going to look a little darker, and black looks horrible on this. Not clear coated, clear coated. Okay, this one's not going to look as shiny. Like you can see the lights right here, but like on the flat area it's very, very dull. Where this one, you not only can see the light on there, you can start to see a little in the shining, a little shiny up in here. Reason being is deciding the finish of the paint and the clear coat you want. So clear coat, all it does is protect your paint. I like something called flat or matte. Okay, F-L-A-T M-A-T-T-E. Flat and matte both are very dull finishes. They look not shiny. That's the best way I can put it. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have gloss. So this one is gloss white. Okay, gloss is shiny, and the easiest way to demonstrate that is that cap is gloss, that cap is flat. So as I spin it, you can see how much shinier this cap is than this cap. Now, in between gloss and matte is a third finish option called satin. Think of that as half and half. I know a lot of people use it. I personally don't like it because it's the worst of both worlds. I either want it dull or I want it shiny. I don't want it somewhere in the middle. To give you an idea of what a satin is like, a satin is what is on the interior walls of most houses. It's not shiny, but it's not flat and chalky. It's the nice middle of the road. But on a blaster, it looks like, in my opinion, you just can't make up your mind. Now, that is, again, completely up to your taste. Maybe that's something you're looking for. So, once again, choosing the right paint for you, making sure it'll adhere to plastic, not trying to cheap out and get something that won't adhere to plastic, sealing it, and considering how much paint you're actually going to use will actually help you get further into painting. Okay, a good way to learn is go to your Goodwill, pick up 5 blasters at $1 a pop. Don't care what they are. Break them apart, take the screws out so you'll build up your screw collection, your springs out, all your parts out. Take the shells, break them down in half. Cut the shells into quarters if you have a Dremel. It'll let you practice your dremeling skill. Use those as test pieces of plastic so you can find out if the cheap paint will work, or if you like Krylon, or if you like Rust-Oleum, or if you have to prime it before you paint it. These things are all going to be personal taste. No two modders are going to like the exact same thing. I know you've heard YouTubers rave about vinyl dye and then use 2K clear, which is a super shiny gloss clear coat, where I love my vinyl dye and then I use a matte clear coat to make it less shiny. Don't be afraid to experiment. Cheap blasters from Goodwill are a great way to do that. Take the parts, build up your part collection, use the shells on the blasters that you think nobody will want and that you don't want to test out your paint. I hope this helps. We'll see you next time.